It is 2 a.m. You know the feeling. You are lying in bed, the room is dark, your phone is the only source of light, and that soft, unnatural glow is illuminating your face. You have just woken up to check the charts, or maybe you never went to sleep at all. Your thumb hovers over the screen, refreshing the price, even though you know the markets are not moving that fast at this hour. It is a nervous tick. You are looking at the portfolio, the red numbers, the green numbers, and you feel that knot in your stomach. We have all been there. You are asking yourself, did I make a mistake? Is this actually going to happen? Or am I just holding a bag of digital magic beans that the rest of the world is about to forget? I have spent countless nights in that exact same position, staring at the candlesticks, trying to will the price to move up with my mind, feeling that strange mix of exhaustion and adrenaline that only crypto traders really understand. And honestly, after years of watching this space, obsessing over the movements, the narratives, and the psychology behind it, I realized something. I realized that the fear we feel, that uncertainty, it is actually a sign. My name is Jack, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, financial psychology, and why some people seem to effortlessly build wealth while others stay stuck in the same financial patterns for decades. And that obsession has led me to a conclusion that might seem a little controversial right now, given the volatility we see, but it is something I truly believe deep down. We are on a collision course with history. Bitcoin is going to reach its all-time high. And it is probably going to happen sooner than you think. Now, before you roll your eyes or click away assuming this is just another Moonboy hype video, hear me out. I am not here to sell you a dream of Lamborghinis and private islands. I want to talk to you about why the underlying mechanics, the psychology, and the shifting landscape of the world are all aligning in a way that makes the previous peak look like a foothill. By the end of this, I want to shift your perspective from one of anxiety to one of quiet, confident understanding. Because once you really see the machine working underneath the hood, the fear starts to fade, and you see the opportunity for what it really is. Let us take a step back and breathe. It is easy to get lost in the noise, right? There is so much noise. X, is a battlefield of conflicting egos. The news cycle is a roller coaster designed to keep you clicking. But if we strip all of that away, if we just look at the raw, unfiltered data of human behavior and economic necessity, something beautiful starts to emerge. A path forward. So let us dive into the deep end. Let us talk about why the upside is not just possible, it is practically inevitable. The first thing we need to understand, the absolute foundation of all of this, is something that sounds a bit boring but is actually explosive. Supply and demand. It is economics 101, right? But in the real world, it is messy. With the stock market, companies can issue more shares. The government can print more money. Real estate developers can build more apartments. Supply is often elastic, it can stretch to meet demand. But Bitcoin? Bitcoin is different. It is the only asset in the history of the universe with a strictly, mathematically fixed supply. There will only ever be 21 million. That is it. Not one more. And when we talk about the price going to a new all-time high, we are not just hoping for a random pump. We are looking at the inevitable result of a supply shock that has not even fully hit the market yet. Here is a story to illustrate what I mean. Imagine a small, remote island. On this island, the currency is seashells. Beautiful, rare, specific seashells. For years, the islanders trade these shells for food, for huts, for services. The economy hums along. The price of a coconut is, say, 5 shells. Now, imagine a hurricane hits or a strange ecological shift happens, and suddenly, the beach that produces these shells is eroded. The supply of new shells entering the market is cut in half. Not only that, but the island chief, who holds a massive reserve of shells in a vault, decides he is never selling them. He locks the door and swallows the key. What happens to the price of a coconut? It does not stay at 5 shells. It might go to 10, then 20, then 50, not because coconorns are suddenly more delicious or harder to pick, but because the medium of exchange used to buy them has become incredibly scarce. That is exactly what is happening with Bitcoin right now. We have had the halving, that event that happens every 4 years where the amount of new Bitcoin created every 10 minutes gets cut in half. But there is a twist this time that we have not seen in previous cycles. We have the spot ETFs. These giant financial institutions, the BlackRocks and the Fidelities of the world, are buying Bitcoin faster than it is being mined. They are basically vacuuming up the daily supply, locking it away in financial products for retail investors and pension funds. So, we have a situation where the new supply tap has been tightened, and the institutional demand vacuum has been turned up to max. It is a cocked hammer waiting to snap. When the available inventory on exchanges runs dry, and it is depleting rapidly, the price has to explode upwards to find the sellers willing to part with their coins. It is not greed, it is just math. You cannot have a massive increase in demand meeting a massive decrease in supply without a price adjustment. It is basic physics applied to money. And why does this matter to you? Because it changes how you view your holdings. You are not just gambling on a number going up, you are holding a piece of a strictly scarce resource in a world that is suddenly realizing it needs it. My advice here? Stop looking at the daily fluctuations. They are just noise in the supply chain. Look at the long-term trend of scarcity. Hold tight, because the people who panic sell now are the ones who are going to be buying their coins back from you at double, triple, or quadruple the price later. It sounds harsh, but honestly, the market does not have feelings. It only has supply and demand. Let us talk about something a bit more intangible. The psychology of the athlete. No, not a sports player, I am talking about the asset class. I want to talk about the fear we all feel when we approach a previous all-time high. It is a fascinating phenomenon. When Bitcoin is at $30,000, everyone loves it. It feels cheap. Feels like a bargain. But as it climbs to $60,000, then $69,000, the mood shifts. Suddenly, people get scared. They think, oh, it is too expensive. I missed it. Or worse, it crashed last time it was here, so it will crash again. We hit this invisible wall of resistance. Think about it like walking into a house you grew up in, but someone has renovated it. The layout is familiar, maybe too familiar. It triggers memories. The last time Bitcoin was at these levels, it ended badly for a lot of people. The trauma of the bear market, the long, cold winter of 2022, is still fresh in our collective minds. We have what psychologists call recency bias. We assume that what just happened is what will continue to happen. But here is the insight that shifts everything. Bitcoin does not know it hit $69,000 before. The blockchain does not have feelings. It does not have PTSD. It does not remember the Lehman Brothers collapse or the COVID crash. It just keeps ticking block by block. Every time Bitcoin breaks an all-time high, it does so for a fundamentally different reason than the last time. In 2017, it was retail mania. It was pizza guys talking about crypto. In 2021, it was a mix of stimulus checks and institutional interest starting to brew. This time, if and when we break that high, it will be backed by the legitimacy of the world's largest asset managers and a widespread understanding of the technology. It is a different animal entirely. I remember talking to a friend of mine. I will call him Dave. Dave bought Bitcoin at the peak in 2021. He watched it go all the way down to $15,000. He swore he had never touched it again. He told me, Jack, that stuff is a scam. I lost half my money. Fast forward to today and he is watching the price creep back up. I asked him if he was going to sell to break even. He looked at me with this tortured expression and said, I do not know. If I sell now and it goes to 100 grand, I will feel stupid. But if I hold and it crashes, I will feel stupid. That paralysis is exactly what creates the new all-time high. Because here is the secret. The supply held by weak hands, people who are scared, people like Dave who just want their money back, has largely been shaken out during the bear market. The people holding now, the people buying now, they have stronger convictions. They understand the long-term game. As the price approaches the old high, the sell pressure actually decreases because all the people who were desperate to sell have already sold. That leaves only the buyers. And when there are only buyers left, the price goes vertical. So what is the actionable advice here? You need to do an audit of your own psychology. Are you holding because you believe in the future, or are you holding just to get your money back? If you are waiting just to break even, you are going to sell too early. You need to reframe the narrative. You are not recovering losses, you are holding a winning ticket in a game that is just getting started. Do not let the ghost of the previous cycle dictate your financial future. You know, back in the day, like 5 or 6 years ago, Bitcoin was this counterculture movement. It was cypherpunks, it was forums, it was this secret weapon against the system. It was exciting. It was dangerous. But honestly, for a speculative asset to really reach the stratosphere, it needs to become incredibly boring. And that is exactly what is happening right now. I was reading a report the other day. It was like 50 pages of dry, dense financial analysis from a major bank. I was struggling to keep my eyes open, honestly. But that is the point. 5 years ago, banks were writing hit pieces on Bitcoin. Now, they are writing allocation models for it. They are discussing correlation coefficients and alpha generation and hedging against fiat debasement. The narrative has shifted from is this a scam to how much of this should we own to protect our clients' wealth. This is the institutional era. And I know some of the die-hard crypto purists hate this. They miss the Wild West. They feel like we have sold out. But if you want Bitcoin to reach a new all-time high and stay there, you should be praying for Wall Street to take over. What? Because Wall Street has the money. Not just millions but trillions. Let us put it in perspective. The entire market cap of Bitcoin is currently in the trillions. That sounds like a lot until you look at the gold market, which is over 10 trillion, or the stock market, which is over 100 trillion. Even a tiny, microscopic shift of capital from traditional markets into Bitcoin sends the price soaring. It is like dropping a single pebble in a bathtub. The water level rises noticeably. When Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world, starts talking about Bitcoin as digital gold, that is not just an opinion. That is a signal to every pension fund, every endowment, and every sovereign wealth fund on the planet that it is now safe to touch. The gates are open. The flood is not a trickle anymore, it is a tidal wave waiting to happen. I actually found myself laughing the other day watching an interview with a traditional financial advisor. He was explaining Bitcoin with a straight face, using all the right terminology, treating it with the same respect as Apple stock or treasury bonds. A few years ago, that same guy would have laughed it off. The transformation is surreal. So why does this matter to you? Because it de-risks the investment. We are moving from the speculation phase to the adoption phase. When big money gets involved, they bring with them liquidity, stability, and infrastructure. They smooth out the crazy volatility. It means that the next all-time high will not just be a flash in the pan, a sharp spike up and a sharp spike down like we saw in 2017. It is more likely to be a steady, grinding climb upward that catches everyone off guard because it is so boring. It just keeps going up. Your takeaway here is to stop looking for the hype. Stop looking for the viral tweets. Look for the boring stuff, the filings, the custodial agreements, the integration into financial software. That is where the real money is made. Be comfortable with boredom. Boredom in investing usually means you are doing something right. Now, I do not want to get too political or doom and gloom here, but we have to talk about the elephant in the room. The global economy. It is a bit of a mess, is not it? Every time I turn on the news, it feels like there is a new crisis. Inflation is sticky, or maybe it is recessionary, or maybe interest rates are too high, or maybe they are not high enough. Governments around the world are spending money at a rate that is frankly hard to comprehend. And how do they pay for it? They print it. They issue debt. There is a concept called fiat debasement. It sounds academic, but it is actually very simple. It means that the cash in your wallet or bank account is slowly losing its purchasing power over time because the supply of money is expanding faster than the supply of goods and services. It is a hidden tax on savers. And it is frustrating. You work hard, you save your money, you do the right thing, and yet, a decade later, that money buys you less groceries, less gas, and less housing. This is not a conspiracy theory, it is just how the current monetary system operates. And people are waking up to it. They are looking around and realizing that holding cash is a losing bet. Enter Bitcoin. This is where the digital gold narrative really comes into play. For thousands of years, humanity has flocked to gold in times of uncertainty. Why? Because you cannot print gold. It is hard to find. It is a store of value. But gold has problems. It is heavy. It is hard to transport. It is hard to divide. You cannot send gold over the internet. Bitcoin solves all of those problems. It is gold that fits in your pocket. It is gold that you can send to anyone, anywhere, in seconds without asking for permission. I was speaking with a viewer recently. Let us call her Sarah. She lives in a country with a collapsing currency. She told me that she does not even look at the Bitcoin price in dollars anymore. She looks at it in her local currency. She said, "Jack, Bitcoin might be volatile in dollars, but in my country currency, it is the only thing that goes up. It is my savings account." That hit me hard. Because for so many of us in the West, we have the luxury of debating whether Bitcoin goes up or down 10%. For billions of people around the world, Bitcoin is a lifeline. It is a lifeboat. This macro environment is the fuel for the next all-time high. We are seeing a flight to quality. Investors, big and small, are looking for an asset that is not someone else's liability. A stock is a share of a company which depends on management. A bond is a debt which depends on a government paying it back. Bitcoin is just Bitcoin. It stands on its own. So what is the move? You need to view your Bitcoin holding not just as a speculative lottery ticket, but as insurance. It is insurance against the monetary madness of the world. If the economy stabilizes and everything turns out fine, Bitcoin likely still goes up because of adoption. If the economy spirals, Bitcoin likely goes up because people flee to safety. It is a win-win scenario in a lot of ways. Do not get caught up in the day-to-day political drama. Just zoom out. Look at the long-term chart of the money supply versus Bitcoin. The lines are mirror images. One goes up, the other goes down. It is a trend that has been in place for 15 years, and I do not see it stopping anytime soon. There is an old saying in the stock market. Bull markets climb a wall of worry. It means that for prices to keep going up, there has to be constant doubt, fear, and negativity. If everyone is bullish and happy and thinks the price can only go up, that is usually the top. That is when the crash happens. Right now? Does it feel like everyone is happy to you? No. It feels like we are constantly under siege. Bitcoin is dead. It is a bubble. The government is going to ban it. It is bad for the environment. It is used by criminals. The headlines never stop. And honestly, that is the most bullish signal I can imagine. If the path to a new all-time high was clear and obvious and risk-free, everyone would have already bought in and the price would already be there. The fact that there is still so much doubt, so much skepticism, so much worry tells me that we are still early. We are still in the accumulation phase for the smart money who can see through the fog. I remember a few years ago I was at a dinner party. Someone found out I was into crypto, and they spent 20 minutes explaining to me why it was a Ponzi scheme. They were so smug, so confident. I did not argue. I just smiled and nodded. I wonder where they are now. Maybe they bought later. Maybe they are still waiting for it to go to zero. The wall of worry filters out the people who do not have the conviction to hold. It transfers wealth from the impatient to the patient. This section is really about emotional intelligence. You have to detach yourself from the herd. The herd feels fear right now. The herd is skeptical. To reach new heights, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to be okay with your friends thinking you are weird for holding this internet money. It is funny, is not it? We want the reward without the risk. We want the gains without the doubt. But that is not how real life works. The beauty of this journey is that it challenges you. It forces you to develop conviction in your own thesis. It makes you think about what money actually is. My advice? Stop reading the FUD articles. Or read them and laugh. Recognize them for what they are, noise designed to distract you. Every time you see a scary headline, tell yourself, this is just another brick in the wall of worry. And the price is climbing right over it. I want to touch on something that is really fascinating to me as someone obsessed with psychology. The 4-year cycle. We talk about the having driving the cycle, and it does, but the cycle is also driven by us. By human nature. We are creatures of habit. We operate on rhythms. We have seasonal rhythms, we have daily rhythms, and apparently we have financial rhythms. The Bitcoin cycle aligns with the halving, but it also aligns with the US election cycle and the global liquidity cycle. It is this perfect storm of repeating patterns. And within each cycle there are stages. The spring, accumulation. Boring. Sideways price action. Nobody cares. The summer, the breakout. Excitement. Price starts moving up. The autumn, the mania. Euphoria. New all-time highs. Your barber is talking about it. The winter, the crash. Despair. Bitcoin is dead. We are currently, in my view, transitioning from a late spring into an early summer. The ground is thawing. The flowers are starting to peek through. But it is still cold. The nights are still dark. It is easy to think winter will last forever. I think about the 2019 to 2020 period. It felt a lot like this. There was a lot of skepticism. We had a big drop in 2020, the COVID crash, and everyone thought the bull run was over before it started. But then boom. We launched into the stratosphere. We are replaying that pattern. But on a larger scale. The institutions are involved now, which might compress the cycle or elongate it, but the rhythm remains. Why is this helpful? Because it gives you a map. If you know you are in the accumulation phase, you do not panic when the price dumps. You say, oh good, it is winter, I can buy more. If you know you are in the mania phase, you prepare to take some profits. So many people trade blind. They just react to whatever is happening now. But if you zoom out and look at the calendar, you realize we are just actors in a play that has been written before. We know the lines. We know the ending. Well, we know the structure of the ending. My personal reflection? Stop fighting the cycle. You cannot outsmart human nature. You cannot outsmart the herd psychology of millions of people. You can only position yourself to ride the wave. Do not get frustrated that we are not at the peak yet. Enjoy the journey. Because honestly, the accumulation phase is where the real wealth is built. The easy money comes later, but the smart money is made right now while everyone else is bored or scared. Let us fast forward for a minute. Let us play the movie forward in our heads. Bitcoin breaks $69,000. It hits 80K, 90K, 100K. The news goes crazy. Your phone is blowing up. Friends who have not spoken to you in years are texting you, hey, remember when you told me about that magic internet money? Is it too late to buy? Feels amazing. It is validating. You see your portfolio number go up, and it feels like a direct injection of dopamine. But here is the danger zone. The after. When we reach a new all-time high, the psychology shifts again. Suddenly, everyone is a genius. Everyone thinks they are a financial advisor. The fear of missing out, the FOMO, becomes palpable. And that is usually when the market sets a trap. I want to prepare you for this moment because, if we are right, it is coming. The most important thing you can do before we hit the high is to have a plan for after we hit the high. What is your sell strategy? Are you selling 10% at double your money? Are you holding forever? Are you dollar cost averaging out? You need to decide this now while you are calm and logical. Because when Bitcoin is up 50% in a month and you are watching your net worth skyrocket, your lizard brain takes over. Greed takes over. You will think, it is going to 1,000,000, I am never selling. And then, when the inevitable correction comes, you will watch your profits evaporate and you will panic sell at the bottom. I have seen this happen hundreds of times. Do not be that person. I think of Bitcoin like a lottery ticket that actually wins. If you win the lottery, what is the first thing financial advisors tell you? Do not quit your job immediately. Get a team. Have a plan. Because sudden wealth can be as destructive as sudden poverty. The new all-time high is not the finish line. It is just the beginning of a new chapter. And if you play it right, it changes your life. If you play it wrong, it is just another story you tell at a bar about the one that got away. So let us be practical. Write down your targets. Yes, physically write them on a piece of paper. If Bitcoin hits X, I will sell Y amount. Put that paper in a drawer. Stick to it. Taking profit is not a betrayal of the Bitcoin revolution. You can still be a believer and pay your rent. I'm telling you this because I care. I do not want you to get rich on paper and stay poor in reality. As we wrap this up, I want to bring it back to you, the viewer. The person watching this at 2 a.m. checking their phone. The person who feels the anxiety of the market but also the spark of hope. Bitcoin reaching an all-time high is not just about the number. It is about the triumph of an idea. It is the idea that we can have a form of money that works for everyone, everywhere, without permission. It is the idea that you can opt out of the broken system and opt into something fairer. It is going to be a bumpy ride. I can promise you that. We are going to see days where it drops 10% for no reason. We are going to see weeks where it feels like the whole world is turning against crypto. But if you understand the mechanics, the supply shock, the institutional adoption, the macro reality, you can sit back and watch the chaos with a smile on your face. We are watching history unfold in real time. It is like watching the internet being born or the smartphone taking over. Most people ignored those things too until they could not. You are here early. You are one of the few who gets it. And that understanding is going to pay dividends, literally and figuratively. So take a deep breath. Turn off the screen. Get some sleep. The charts will still be there tomorrow. The journey is long, but the destination is worth it. Bitcoin will reach its all-time high. And when it does, I hope you look back on this moment, on the doubt and the fear, and realize that it was all just part of the process. You made it. You are still here. And you are ready for what comes next. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay stacking, and remember, keep thinking about your money. It is the only way you will ever keep it.